Without further ado, please join me in welcoming the most fabulous supervillain on the internet himself, Milo Yiannopoulos.
America, fuck yeah, coming again to save the motherfucking day. I was just telling. Give a round of applause for these very brave and strong young men. I was just telling the guys that couldn't get in, finally, I'm entering a venue in a manner I deserve. It's been very disappointing at previous colleges. They've expected me to walk.
You know, modern feminism has become ever more hysterical about ever tinier things. This hysteria about microaggressions. Well, they're called microaggressions because you can't even see them. And the reason you can't see them is because they're not there. There's nothing happened. I mean, hello, darling.
Sir, please,
do you need some
sir,
help?
Sir,
do you
please.
Need some help?
Sir, please.
We'd like to ask you to please.
Sir, please.
Can we ask you to stop, please?
Sir. Sir.
We good. What you got to say? What you got to say?
Maybe I'll just come here. You see, I don't have a problem with anybody on the basis of their skin color. Who would? I don't have a problem with anyone on the basis of their sexuality, although I know she's got some interesting things to say about fashion, which perhaps betray. In that fucking outfit, she wants to be careful.
You're an idiot. You are an idiot. Dump the Trump. Stop. How about you stop eating with your...
What irritates me more than anything else, and I think that you all have a right to be upset about... This is a Republican safe space. Don't you guys feel threatened? As a minority, I'm feeling very oppressed. You know, it's interesting. They're always banging on about minorities being silenced. I only see one minority being silenced in this room, and it ain't you, sweetheart. He's threatening to hit me. We've had our first threat of violence now, so that's great. I think this guy threatened to hit me, so if college wants to do anything about that, they can. But I don't think they will. In fact, what I suspect is about to happen is they're going to have their way, which is an instance of just how your college authorities cave at every available opportunity to the worst kind of authoritarianism, worst kind of fascism. They're going to leave him there. Okay. Or alternatively, as I've just been informed, they have a level of spinelessness. Like, they'll let it carry on, but they'll let them sit here, so we can't really have a conversation with one another. It's very difficult to communicate. I've got this guy pacing around who just threatened to hit me. You're not going to do anything about him? You're not going to get rid of this one?
Thanks to Paul Security. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Great job. Outstanding.
You know what? We can be activists. I suggest we walk to the president's office and complain now, all of us, about... Let us go and complain. Let us go and express how you feel to the president of this university about your security's refusal to allow an event to proceed. Let's go. Let's go. I'm at DePaul University in Chicago, Illinois. I just called a halt to the event because university security refused to police it. The Black Lives Matter protesters on the stage would not let us get through the event and disrupting us. So we came out to say hi to the president, to ask why his security are not adequately policing their event. I don't know what we're doing now. I have no idea.
We're hanging left. We're going to the president. That's what we're going to.
Here we go. Okay. We're still doing it. There we are.
Arrest them!
Hey, do you want to go to jail?
He going to jail?
Okay, stand over there. Because you don't leave.
How are they not arrested?
Come on, do me a favor.
Is this a joke?
I'll go to jail because over there. Because I read a little bit.
No, don't get on the car. It's not your car. Come on, just go ahead and leave, please.
We were walking down the street. We were trying to get by the sidewalk, and they decided to take up the whole sidewalk. So I asked if they could move, and they started pushing me. So I pushed them back, and then people started shouting everywhere. It was like fucking pandemonium. People just started converging on us, jumping on us.
It was like you were gonna hit him?
Yeah, and they were trying to like hit me.
So I stood in front.
She tried to stand in front, but I don't know if she got hurt or what. But
No,
it
I'm
just.
okay.
What I want to know is, do you have anything to say about the fact that it seems like your supporters, and in general the alt-right movement, seems to have a high degree of what I would say schlubby, low testosterone males? And what do you think that says about the obsession with Donald Trump as an alpha male?
Yes.
Sorry, I wasn't done with my question. Mr. Yiannopoulos, I wasn't done with my question, and as you're fond of pointing out, it's rude to shout people down and an infringement of their free speech to shout people down.
I think I understand the general tenor and direction of the question. This is a perfect example of the sort of ugly... This is a perfect example of the sort of ugly sociopathy that has given rise to the sexodus, that has given rise to young men checking out of relationships, that has given rise to female unhappiness as they discover that more men are deciding that women just aren't worth the hassle. This kind of ugly, nasty, cruel generalization about men who have done nothing to deserve it is precisely, I'm answering your question, sir. You don't get to respond again. The difference is when I call feminists fat, they are. When you call the room virgins, unlikely. As with all things, even my mockery is evidence-based. Sometimes young men can't, and as a Christian, I think it's important that the strong protect the weak. And in many cases, the young men you're describing do have problems. They sometimes aren't the most socially fluent. They sometimes aren't the most sexually fluent. Fuck you for putting those people down.
Zombies!
Oh, we should film
You don't have any comment? Why are you throwing away my posters? Why did you rip them off of the wall? and reach beyond my face while I was standing in front of them.
This is why.
Because you're a feminist and therefore cancerous to society.
Yeah, how did you know?
Maybe it's because of your intolerant behavior that's incredibly disrespectful and just caused you to nearly physically assault me.
You are because you're here blocking the steps with me. Come down here anytime and let them know. So please, join me in chanting Bruins Against Hate.
Bruins against hate!
Bruins against hate! Bruins against hate! Bruins against hate! Bruins against hate! Bruins against hate! Bruins against hate! Bruins against hate!
As a human being, I do not stand with this!
Hi, I'm Milo Yiannopoulos. We're here at UCLA. It's insane, as always, I'm sorry to say. So the protesters kind of stormed the building, and my people, like some of my people are in now. We had to kind of like evade the police to get in here, because the police didn't want to let anybody in. Protesters don't seem to realize, and I tell them, I'm very honest with them about it. I tell them, you are doing all of my marketing work for me. You are helping me out so much. Can't even explain to you how good this is for me. These people, in fact, I reckon, audience at home, sitting there thinking, I'm not voting for these guys. These guys are crazy. I'm going to vote for the other guy. Protests like this, which characterize the left as entirely insane, sort of crazy, far-left, progressive, social justice, Black Lives Matter, feminist lunacy, give the whole left a bad name. And I don't think the left is a bad thing. Look at Dave Rubin, my friend. He's wrong about most things, except where he agrees with me. But ultimately, thank you guys. But ultimately, he's a good person. But people at home are watching this and being like, you know what? I'm not voting for those guys. These people outside are putting President Trump in the White House. And for fans of Daddy, that's fine. Anyway, I think we're getting somewhere closer. So if you're watching at home and being patient, thank you. We're getting somewhere closer. Gawker, more than any other publication, made people scared to make jokes. Ordinary private citizens were like, will a bored Gawker writer pick this up and ruin my life because I made a joke about AIDS? That's a sort of tyranny, and it's coming to an end. And the people who benefit from that tyranny, the mediocre, the lazy, the hateful, the fat, the facially pierced, the blue-haired, the people for whom being black is their only marketable skill, You see, sweetheart, no one's buying what you're selling anymore. No one's buying what you're selling anymore. While the trash takes itself out, let's carry on.
Milo Yiannopoulos.
You mad, bro? I said, tell me what you mad for. You mad, bro? Yo, I said, tell me what you mad for. You mad, bro? Yo, I said, tell me what you mad for. I said, tell me what you mad for. You mad, bro? You mad, bro? Yo, I said, tell me what you mad for.
President Obama, you're fired.
You mad, bro? Yo, I said, tell me what you mad for. I said, tell me what you mad for. You mad, bro? You mad, bro?
And the rockets regular, the one first digging air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Started a bit high. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free, of the Black Lives Matter doesn't really care about black lives. It's, as we'll discuss shortly, more of a movement for attention, money, and, like most activism, more money. To achieve these goals, they focus their energies on cases of black men killed by the police. Well, the work of criminologist Dr. Richard Johnson of the University of Toledo explains just how futile this is. And some of this stuff is tough to listen to. Some of this stuff is not pleasant. It's not the kind of thing that you want to discuss over cocktails, but it's important to understand the problem if you're going to fix it, which Black Lives Matter definitely can't. Based on 2012 numbers, it would take 40 years worth of blacks killed by police to equal the total number of blacks murdered by other blacks in a single year. Right. Less than 400 people a year are killed by cops. 61% of them are white men. 32% are black males. Black men are not killed out of proportion when you consider they're much more likely to interact with police. People are killed by police about as often as they're struck by lightning, but I don't see many protests about storms. Black males are 58% of those killed legally by private citizens in self-defense. And you think, aha, we've got you on something. Except 75% of them were killed by other blacks. FBI statistics on murder lay bare the real threat to black lives in America, and that is other blacks. Black men are about 6.5% of the US population, but they commit 52% of all murders. That has dipped to about 40% in recent years. Black men overwhelmingly murder other black people, and white people overwhelmingly murder other white people. So just like abuse and harassment on the internet, this isn't really a racial issue like that isn't really a gendered issue. Looking at overall violent crime, blacks are 27% more likely to attack whites than vice versa, and 8 times more likely to attack Hispanics. This is the shocking number I hope you take away from my visit. 90% of blacks that die of murder die at the hands of other black people, and that's from the FBI homicide report. 90%. We're not here to talk about why this happens, why 74% of black children are raised without fathers per Health and Human Services, and why the government seems intent on continuing a cycle of destruction within the black community. My message is simple. Black lives don't matter to Black Lives Matter. If they did, they'd be confronting these issues instead of ignoring them completely.
Is that I think this whole campus tour, what you're trying to do is sidestep the entire academic process. Your ideas have not passed peer review. You haven't done your scientific research. You haven't even done anything. And you can laugh at me all you want. Go ahead, try to make me into a Trigglypuff.
Could you give an example of something that you've learned in that class that you would
Example. Let me tell you what I've learned in that class.
Isn't everyone?
We have learned that basically there is a basis in natural science, social science, and humanities for a lot of these issues. And if you understand the underpinnings, when feminists come to you talking about the patriarchy, you're not going to freak out and think it's some big conspiracy. You're going to understand what they mean. So I would encourage everyone in this class to sign up. And if you can't do that, go to my YouTube channel, David underscore.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid we've been going for a long time and I still haven't heard a decent question.
It was one question.
I think we're done. So thank you very much. It's time for you to give the mic to somebody else. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I listened to you for over an hour.
I was just telling. Give a round of applause for these very brave and strong young men. I was just telling the guys that couldn't get in, finally, I'm entering a venue in a manner I deserve. It's been very disappointing at previous colleges. They've expected me to walk.
You know, modern feminism has become ever more hysterical about ever tinier things. This hysteria about microaggressions. Well, they're called microaggressions because you can't even see them. And the reason you can't see them is because they're not there. Nothing happened. I mean, hello, darling.
Sir, please,
do you need some
sir,
help?
Sir,
do you
please.
need some help?
Sir, please.
We'd like to ask you to please.
Sir, please.
Can we ask you to stop, please?
Sir. Sir.
We good. We good. What you got to say? What you got to say?
Maybe I'll just come here. You see, I don't have a problem with anybody on the basis of their skin color. Who would? I don't have a problem with anyone on the basis of their sexuality, although I know she's got some interesting things to say about fashion, which perhaps betray. In that fucking outfit, she wants to be careful.
You're an idiot. You are an idiot. Dump the Trump. Stop. How about you stop eating with your...
What irritates me more than anything else, and I think that you all have a right to be upset about... This is a Republican safe space. Don't you guys feel threatened? As a minority, I'm feeling very oppressed. You know, it's interesting. They're always banging on about minorities being silenced. I only see one minority being silenced in this room, and it ain't you, sweetheart. He's threatening to hit me. We've had our first threat of violence now, so that's great. I think this guy threatened to hit me, so if college wants to do anything about that, they can. But I don't think they will. In fact, what I suspect is about to happen is they're going to have their way, which is an instance of just how your college authorities cave at every available opportunity to the worst kind of authoritarianism, worst kind of fascism. They're going to leave them there. Okay. Or alternatively, as I've just been informed, they have a level of spinelessness, like they'll let it carry on, but they'll let them sit here, so we can't really have a conversation with one another. It's very difficult to communicate. I've got this guy pacing around who just threatened to hit me. You're not going to do anything about him? You're not going to get rid of this one?
Thanks to Paul Security. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Great job. Outstanding.
You know what? We can be activists. I suggest we walk to the president's office and complain now, all of us, about... Let us go and complain. Let us go and express how you feel to the president of this university about your security's refusal to allow an event to proceed. Let's go. Let's go. I'm at DePaul University in Chicago, Illinois. I just called a halt to the event because university security refused to release it. The Black Lives Matter protesters on the stage would not let us get through the event and disrupting us. So we came out to say hi to the president, to ask why his security are not adequately policing their event. I don't know what we're doing now. I have no idea.
We're hanging left. We're going to the president. That's what we're going to.
Here we go. Okay. We're still doing it. There we go.
gentlemen.
Alrighty, finally. No, he's showing up, and he's here, and we just want to state beforehand that the UCSD requires us to give the moderator speech to let you know the basic rights and how this whole thing works so we don't upset them too much. All right, moderator speech. UCSD is dedicated to the pursuit and dissemination of ideas, and it supports the open expression of ideas even if these ideas may be unpopular or controversial. Speakers who are invited to our campus have the right to express their viewpoints and be heard. I would like to remind tonight's audience of UCSD policies protecting the First Amendment rights of guest speakers. During tonight's program, audience members are expected to refrain from interrupting the speaker. If you wish to pose a question to the speaker, the sponsor of tonight's event will be circulating and collecting question cards near the end of the program, or something along those lines. You may also choose to ask questions at the microphone. You'll be permitted 1 minute for your question. Follow-up questions will not be permitted. After asking your question, please step away from the microphone and return to your seat. This is an educational event. Deliberate disturbance or disruption of this event is a violation of campus policy and California law. In particular, interfering with the speaker's ability to speak is strictly prohibited, something DePaul didn't get. Hey, that's a violation of the first rule. Okay, anyone who disrupts this event will be asked to stop. If this request is not heeded, you will be asked to leave. Disruption of the event and refusal to leave upon request may result in campus disciplinary processes, removal from the premises, and possible arrest. As a reminder to the audience, prohibited items include signs, posters, banners, leafleting, noise-making devices, face paint, photography, and weapons. Anyone who disrupts this event will be asked to stop. If this request is not heeded, you will be asked to leave. In sum, deliberate disruption of an invited speaker, including mic checks, is not a protected form of speech. An invited speaker has the right to address an audience without disruption. I ask tonight's audience to uphold this right, so please be on your best behavior. All right, first of all, my name is Quentin Grounds. I'm president or chairman at the College Republicans here at UCSD. We want to thank everyone for showing up here today. It's pretty legit to see as many folks as we have, especially in a place like UCSD. First of all, we at the UCSD College Republicans are huge supporters of open dialogue, free speech, and civil discussion. We also believe that recent events on campus and in the UC culture in general are indicators of a larger problem. Actual free speech and open discussion of the issues are being clouded, repressed even, by extreme political correctness. It has created an uneven bias which doesn't represent our nation in its complexity. When the Koala approached us with the possibility of hosting Milo, we were apprehensive. We don't necessarily agree with everything that Milo or the Koala has said or the message they present. But what we did agree on is their right to speak it, their right to speak their minds. By sponsoring Milo, we hope to not only challenge the culture of political correctness here on campus, but start a meaningful dialogue about the issues of class, race, and politics that are affecting our nation today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce editor Gabe Cohen.
Hi. Try to keep this brief. So, I'm Gabe Cohen. I'm editor of The Koala. Despite the school's best efforts, The Koala has been a satire paper at UCSD since 1982. We, with the help of the College Republicans, are proud to bring Milo here. The Koala not only respects Milo's right to free speech, but endorses every goddamn word Milo says tonight. Before Milo comes on stage, I've been asked to read a message by our Chancellor. I'm Chancellor Pradeep K. Khalsa. I've asked the Koala to read this message tonight because I'm off shaving my wife's back hair. It's Monday. I would like Milo to know that I wholeheartedly support him and his message. If I were 3 shades darker and 4 inches longer, I might have the courage to ask him on a date. I'll be wearing my Make America Great Again hat tonight as I watch the recording later this evening from my bathtub. Long live the Koala, Donald J. Trump, and Milo Yiannopoulos. Please join me in welcoming the man you all came here to see, Milo Yiannopoulos.
Weren't they wonderful? Isn't cultural appropriation great? Now, I saw a few of you looking at me strangely on the way in. This old thing? It's just something I found in the back of the cupboard. Alcohol-free campus. Fuck your professors. Right. On the subject of cultural appropriation, well, this isn't the purpose of tonight's talk. I'm going to talk a little bit about D-Day today, and then we'll get on to social justice. Cultural appropriation, in case you're wondering why I'm dressed like this, aside from simply to tease social justice warriors, isn't racist, it's how art works. Here are a few things that would be impossible without cultural appropriation. Video games, opera, novels, painting, film, architecture. You get the idea, right? Fucking idiots. Right. I've also forgotten my spectacles, so I'm going to be a blind person. I'm going to try and get this. There we go. Just get it right up there. Oh, behave. All right. Thank you for joining on yet another wonderful date on the Dangerous Faggot Tour. I'm Milo Yiannopoulos. Thank you so much for having me. Actually, this is quite good. Right. I'll get through this as quickly as I can. Are we all set down the front? All right. Before we talk about the truths that many social justice warriors on campus, the armies of political correctness, the feminists and the Black Lives Matter protesters would... This is really hot, sorry. My Christmas poncho, it's got Rudolph on it. Before we start, I'd like to say thank you to the Koala for inviting me to this excellent student newspaper. Also, possibly, I'm guessing, guilty of cultural appropriation too, which is meaningless. Right, let's get started. Do you know what day it is today? You're so drug-addled, presumably you know the dates, even though you are at college. D-Day, it is D-Day, indeed. It's the anniversary of D-Day. It's not actual D-Day, that was a while ago. It's the anniversary of the invasion of France by the Allies, which turned the tide of the war in Europe and eventually resulted in victory over Germany and its Axis partners. Hitler was, of course, the original social justice warrior. He wants to... No. You think I'm joking. Hitler was the original social justice warrior, wanting to refashion the world around him in extraordinary ways based on bullshit ideology, not science. And, you know... Heaven forfend what would happen if feminists ever got their hands on Cyclone B. But I am I'd be the first in the chambers for a start. Given the, well, you say, you think I'm joking, but given the preponderance of kill all white men and I bathe in male tears hashtags, it's not so far from a possibility. Of course, Julie Bindel, the radical intersectional second wave feminist, wants to round men up and put them in camps. The clues are there, people. Right. Fortunately, these flatulent losers can barely spell their own names, let alone wire detonators, but this room did, in any case, have to be swept for explosives before this talk. On D-Day, 160,000 combat troops from the United States, England, and Canada landed at Normandy on 5 beaches. They were called Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. Imagine those same professors that you have that are causing you so many problems sneering at the patriarchal nature of these beach code names. We're here to remember, at least in part today, something no doubt that women's studies professors would call an unmitigated act of cis-normative male oppression, otherwise known as winning the Second World War. If women's studies majored had named those beaches, they'd have been called stair rape, male gaze rape, man slam rape, man spread rape, and catcall beach. Leading up to the invasion, and with the work of British and American intelligence services, Germany expected the attack at Calais, which would have been the natural target. But of course, these days, if you were to plan an invasion, Calais is the one place you wouldn't go, since it is a no-go zone for non-Muslims. It's better known as the jungle. That's just true. That's really true. Nobody goes there. At Normandy, there are 10,000 Americans buried. All of their graves face west toward their homeland. There are 5,000 English buried there, and 1,000 Canadians fell in battle. For some reason, nobody remembers them. But, no, behave. But remember, according to Hillary Clinton, women are the primary victims of war. No, it's true. She actually said that. She said women are it's very hot up here, sorry. Foundation. I haven't got any on, actually. This is why I look so tired and so sweaty. Women, she said, women are the primary victims of war. They lose their husbands and they lose their sons. Well, it's about as true as Elizabeth Warren's Native American heritage. We lose 1,800 American World War II veterans every day. Many of them die purely of old age, but many of them an early end thanks to the awful state of the healthcare of veterans. I am not a veteran of that, but you may not have realized this from my accent. I'm not even American. But many veteran active military fans tell me that one of the greatest things about Daddy, the dear Donald Trump, is his commitment and devotion. His commitment and devotion to helping the military and helping the police. And surely one of the best things that he could do, which no other person even running seems able, is to fix the Veterans Affairs Office, whatever it's called. You have a crazy name for it in America, which is a terrific mess, a horrible, or what do we call it on the internet? A clusterfuck. It sounds like a cluster bomb, but it is not. It is a clusterfuck. It's pretty much the greatest disgrace in American national life, with the possible exception of Nancy Pelosi. Stop it. You're only encouraging me. That's one thing that we should definitely fix, and today it's worth thinking about that. It not only means that young men disabled in Afghanistan, but also the mistreated veterans of Vietnam and elderly veterans of World War II that deserve our government's help. One of the few things the government should be doing, and doesn't, is Veterans Affairs. They seem intent on providing help instead to illegal aliens, paraplegic Syrian refugee, lesbian drum troops, or whatever. However it is that Obama spends our money. Well, your money. So take the opportunity to find a World War II vet, if you can. Thank him for his service. One of the mariachi band is a veteran. I don't know of which war, but you should go up and ask him. Interestingly, it's funny, I was a bit worried about the sort of mariachi band coming up, and so I'd be worried if, about them sort of hearing the first bit of the speech and then charging the stage and saying, "We don't support this." But no, he's fully on board. He's very sound. So he said, if you want to book a mariachi band, they're the ones. So give him a round of applause. When you think about how hard your school life is, perhaps it's worth imagining landing on craft doors opening while you struggle onto land under intense fire from German guns, and then come back and tell me about microaggressions. Thanks to those brave men, the worst you have to face is struggling to be a conservative on campus under the fire from gigantic feminist harpies. Now that I think of it, almost as scary. Besides preserving our freedom, without the liberation of Europe that began on D-Day, I probably wouldn't even exist, and that would be a real tragedy. Now that we've briefly commemorated the battle for the freedom of the Western world, let's have a little think about what we're doing with that freedom. Let's consider what the Western world is doing with the freedom that these people died and injured themselves and gave themselves trauma and all sorts of other horrific hangovers from war. What did they fight for? What have we done with the freedom that they have given us? Let us consider the facts. This is a battle that UC San Diego is on the foreground of, by the way. There's a lawsuit currently against the school by the ACLU following the defunding of your satirical and, heaven forbid, conservative student publication, The Koala. I don't know whether it gave rise to Save the Koala or whether I made that up in my head, but it's very funny, and you should use that. That's good. The koala's big mistake was making fun of safe spaces, leading to the university stating, "The koala is profoundly repugnant, repulsive, attacking, and cruel." Well, that sounds like journalism. Give yourself a round of applause. In other words, you were horribly triggering. The koala's satire is too mature for the tender young ears of the study body. Apparently, I don't know why universities insist you're all toddlers, but they seem to think that you all need a special coaxing through life, that you need help to go about your daily business. You can't hear certain words, you can't be exposed to certain opinions. This, of course, is nonsense, and we'll just explore very briefly some of the nonsense that they tell you on campus. I'm going to go through a few. Before we do that, is college a good investment? Who feels happy about the money that they're spending to be here? Wow, not many of you. Not many of you. Well, universities increasingly are becoming consumer-led operations, vast spaces where huge amounts of money are spent on massive facilities. The students themselves seem not to get very much of that unless they are either in athletics or they're social justice warriors, in which case they get their safe spaces funded, they get special protection, they get security for speakers they don't like, you know, all the ridiculous amount of money that's had to be spent on this event. Absolutely insane. Not to protect them, by the way, to protect me. With most majors outside STEM, and especially in gender and race studies, students and their parents pay tens of thousands of dollars to support this kind of stuff. It has got to stop. It's ridiculous. Now, and a few of the reasons that I think it would be worth talking about before I go over to Q&A, it's so hot up here, I'm sorry. Here are some of the things that your university believes to be true, and that the students who run this, the student organizations and some of the student newspapers that do get funding believe to be true. There is a rape culture on campus. Well, there's no rape culture on campus. Actually, college-age women are 1.2 times more likely to be raped than college-age women who are in school. So if you're a woman of 20 or 21, you're actually more likely to get raped when you're not in college. Colleges are some of the safest spaces for young women imaginable. Men are more likely to be killed as non-students, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics. We focus on these two because you are aristocrats. You know, you are the pinnacle of society. You are the creme de la creme. You're going to go on to run the country in your own ways. It's insane to believe that at the same place that would be happening, that there'd be some kind of culture of attacking women, and indeed it is simply not true. Of course, if you're always afraid, you're very easily malleable. If you're somebody who is always worried, always looking over your shoulder, you can be persuaded of pretty much anything, which is another reason colleges do this. They tell you all sorts of things that aren't true to make you feel unsafe, so you cleave to the college, just as later in life you'll be encouraged to cleave to the federal government for everything that you need. Because, of course, the idea that you would know how to spend your own money is preposterous. Feminists say that between 1 in 4 and 1 in 6 women are raped on college campuses. Well, I've looked into the statistics on this. I've tried desperately to find a college that comes anywhere close, not because I find particular pleasure in this stuff, but just because I want to find a single college. If this is the average, right, the countrywide average, you would imagine there are colleges that have worse, colleges that have better, or all colleges have that. That's the way that averages work. That's the only possible mathematical way that could be the national average. That every college would be 1 in 5, let's say. Or there would be colleges above and colleges below. So you would expect to find at least one college somewhere in the United States. Any one college that comes anywhere close to that number. It does not exist. It isn't true. The actual rape statistic for women, according to the Bureau of Justice, is 7.6 women out of every 1,000. Now, that's not good. It's nothing to congratulate people over, but it is also not cause for a panic. It is not cause for lies to be told to children, no offense, and young adults about the crimes committed by half of the population. Well, I say half, but of course, fewer men are going to college than ever. Now, it is predominantly women who go to college, women who get the best grades, women who graduate more than men do, and women who have, for instance, in STEM fields, a 2-to-1 advantage over their male counterparts. If there is a patriarchy, it's not doing a very fucking good job. The actual rape statistic for... oh, wait, no, I made a mistake. The rape statistic for women from 1995 to 2013 is 7.6. For college students, it's 6.1 in 1,000. It's even less. 0.61% of women and 0.14% of male college students are going to be sexually assaulted. Feminists claim we are facing a rape epidemic, the likes of which we've never seen before. That is a lie. These national statistics, the gold standard, whether they're the Bureau of Justice Statistics or surveys like Pew Global, which both the right and the left fail to criticize because they are scrupulously fair. No study shows this. It is plucked out of thin air. It is complete nonsense. From 1995 to 2005, the total rate of sexual violence committed against US female residents aged 12 or older declined 64%. Rape has been in free fall for 30 years. Yet feminists want to imply that there is some kind of rape culture on campus, that, there's sort of, whether sexist jokes or certain comments or touching a woman on the arm somehow allows or encourages or enables rape. It isn't true. Don't believe it. The media rush to judgment on campus rape. This is part of the problem. The media is most of the problem, actually. It's one of the reasons I quite like what Trump has to say about the press. We are the problem. Duke Lacrosse, Mattress Girl, UVA, all of the rapes you've heard of are fake. If a rape hits the national press and the liberal press makes a big fuss about it, you can pretty much guarantee it will be fake. It's horrible, but this is another way that the progressive left hurts those it claims to help the most. Because what's the effect? Can anyone suggest what the effect is of every campus rape you've ever heard of being a hoax? What's the likely thing? Call it out. Exactly. Women aren't going to be believed. And what's the number one problem, according to feminists, about rape? Women aren't believed. Well, what the fuck do you think's going to happen if everyone you tell us about is a fake, is a hoax? Sabrina Erdely from Rolling Stone admitted that she went rape shopping. Her phrase, not mine. She went well, I don't know if she actually said that. But in the interests of strict accuracy, I'm not sure she used the phrase rape shopping. But let's imagine that she did. She's pretty much unlibelable at this point. She went out looking for the most salacious and sensational rape. Well, anybody who's been a journalist for more than 11 minutes can tell you if you go out looking for a sensational story, you're going to attract what? Fantasists. And Jackie Coakley was a fantasist. She made up the stuff about her rape to impress, well, this is a weird thing. This is something I don't understand about female psychology. She made up a rape to get the attention of a boy she liked, thinking that he would like her more. But I guess, of course, she's not representative. She's not representative of all women. She's just nuts. And Sabrina Erdely and Rolling Stone should have known that, and indeed probably did, but ran the story anyway, because they believed it was an important thing to talk about. The narrative is important. Well, yeah, we know rape's bad. This isn't news to any of your readers. It isn't news to the majority of Americans who aren't Rolling Stone readers. It isn't news to anyone, but you chose to run it. Anyway, it goes on and on. Mattress girl, Emma Solkovitz at Columbia. Remember her? Yeah? Carried a mattress around campus. Yeah, well, the rape never happened. But what has the liberal establishment done? It has rewarded her with an art show in Los Angeles, magazine covers. She now has a job for life, peddling lies. It's extraordinary. And the university, of course, didn't just permit this. It aided and abetted her in this. It allowed her to go to her graduation ceremony with the mattress. It protected her throughout this process, even when it was clear that she was lying. So the media is a huge part of the problem here. It makes you wonder, like, if rape is so common, if it's happening all the time, why can't they find a single true one? I mean, it's not like it doesn't happen. Well, the reason is that they want the sensation, they want the worst possible imaginable ones, and those are the ones that always turn out not to be true. So what I think we should do, rather than going for sensational stories, what I think we should do is look at the data. Because in order to help women, which we do want to do and which we must do, avoid putting themselves into these situations, we need to tell them the truth. Because if they don't have the facts and they don't have the truth, they cannot protect themselves. And social justice warriors on campus and the media are not helping them to do that. Another thing that doesn't help gender relations on campus is a lack of due process. If any of you boys in the audience are accused of rape, whether it's true or not, whether it's partially true or not, whether there's an element of, I can't remember, we were both so drunk, your life will be over. You will be subjected to a kangaroo court. You will not be given the basic standard of the burden of proof used in the law. You will be tried instead by a university kangaroo court with a much lower burden of proof. Basically, a woman said it. Now, it sounds funny, but it isn't, because it's ruining lives. And we can't really expect the sexes to get along well and for us all to have healthy relations with one another so long as that situation obtains. That has to change. And the universities that do not fall in line with common sense and fairness, I think are going to start to see the effects. Universities only really care about money. They don't care about you, and they don't care about educational standards. They care about alumni donations. Well, Missouri, which gave in to the worst kind of social justice nonsense, Black Lives Matter activism, which is possibly the high church of lunacy. Well, their donations are down 33 million, is it at least latest count, 40 million. They had to close 2 dorms because admissions have gone down so much. It doesn't matter if Hillary gets in and says we're going to pay for higher education, don't worry. If nobody's applying to your school, it's going to close anyway. So I have some optimism about this. I think universities are going to discover that it is simply financially impossible to indulge the social justice instinct very much longer. Lack of due process is a huge problem on campus, and it's something that if you're a boy, it's now safer simply not to get involved in relationships at all if you're at university. That's a terribly sad situation. University is somewhere where you come to understand yourself, where you come to develop your sexual identity, your intellectual identity, where you explore other people and their bodies. This is precisely the place to do it, and it's a very safe environment to do it. Universities are making it unsafe for men. That should change. Feminists say women never lie about rape, by the way. Well, There's some snickers in the room from people who have dumped girlfriends and then had rape allegations thrown at them the next week. Not to say all women do it, not even to say most women do it, not even to say any specific woman does it, but rape claims are proven to be false 4 times more than any other index crime. 8% over 2%. That's nearly 1 in 10 of them reported to the police didn't happen. Now, this is the point at which I would normally inject a disreputable and sexist joke, but I'm going to let you do that yourself. I wonder what that statistic would prove on college campuses. Do you think it's higher or do you think it's lower on college campuses? Fake sexual assault claims. I'm willing to bet it's about 4 times that. Yep. And this is encouraged by your universities and by the social justice warriors on campus. Here's another campus myth, completely off topic. Socialism is great. Bernie is beloved on campuses by those too stupid and too young to have experienced the real world, to have earned any money for themselves, to understand what taxation means, and to have loved ones about whom they would like to make decisions rather than have the government make those decisions for them. And of course, people who share many of those characteristics, your professors, who have never left an academic environment, never really had to deal with the real world. We know in the real world socialism doesn't work. This is the larger, broader point above all the social issues we're talking about, because there's, of course, one side of the political debate and one political party which supports this stuff. We know in the real world it doesn't work. Venezuela should be a socialist paradise. Somebody in this, anyone been to Venezuela recently? No, of course you haven't. But a dozen eggs costs $150 in Venezuela. And the murder rate is 10 times higher than America without all those toxic white males. Still happens. I don't know how. I don't know how it happens with no white men, but people get killed a lot. Why do, this is a question actually, why do all these celebrities like Lena Dunham say, if Trump gets in, I'm going to move? Why do they say Canada and not Venezuela? Surely they prefer Venezuela. What's so bad about Venezuela, Lena? I'll pay for the airfare myself. All right, I'm going to do one more and then we'll go to the Q&A. And it's a subject very close to my heart. Well, it's not close to my heart in the sense that it's body positivity. Feminists say you can be healthy at any size. I mean, how do they get away with this stuff? Some of it's just on the face of it, so ridiculous that no sensible person could possibly believe this, but they get away with it somehow anyway. Obese women are more susceptible to the following things. I got a lot of paper left. Diabetes, polycystic ovary syndrome, increased risk of cardiovascular disease, increased risk of several major cancers, associated with elevated mortality that risks raising in further weight gains, lower back pain, knee osteoarthritis, lower fertility, can interfere with contraceptives, higher risk of C-section and higher... Look, it's just science. I mean, just got to get through it. Higher risk of C-section, cesarean section, isn't it? Yeah, and higher risk of pregnancy conditions like diabetes and hypertension. Higher risk of depression, either chemically or through cultural factors. What? I think they're talking about fat shaming. Do you know the interesting thing about fat shaming? If you've got hot friends, it works. So there are studies on this. If you're surrounded by, if all your friends are fat shaming doesn't work. But if your friends are all hot and you're not, fat shaming does work. So if anybody tells you that fat shaming doesn't work, you can say, well, maybe not for you. Higher risk of depression, we did that. Breathing problems, stroke, arthritis, gallbladder disease. No, I'll stop. There was more. Healthy at any size, give me a break. Feminists claim most people are curvy. Well, so would you be after 16 trips a month to In-N-Out. I'm just saying. And part of this is a serious point because these people are lying to children. These professors, the gender studies professors, you look through the faculty list of gender studies. These are the women that are telling women how to behave to men. And you look through the list and it's like dyke, divorcee, dyke. It's like putting Hitler in charge of a museum of Jewish antiquity. Why are these women allowed to lecture vulnerable, impressionable young girls about how to be women? They don't even know. I'm just saying. So they're lying to these kids, and they're condemning girls to a life of loneliness and a life of misery because the sexes are different, and men, we're visual animals. Anyone who's been into a gay club or opened a gay gay magazines anymore. God, how old am I? That painting's doing a really good job. Oscar Wilde. Yeah. Read a book. Left side. The problem is that men are visual animals. Anyone who's gone on a gay website or whatever, or seen Grindr, knows that men primarily care about what they can see. The fact is that if you encourage young girls to get fat and to have ugly, unappealing characteristics, personal habits, visual appearance, personal hygiene, in other words, if you encourage them to be Lena Dunham, they're not going to be happy. They're not a rich scion of the liberal establishment like she is. They're going to be miserable and they're going to be alone, and that's bad for both sexes. It is sociopathic and it is wrong. And it is also, I'm sure, because it's been going on for so long, contributing to the problem that over 60% of adult women in the US are now overweight. That's what the medical establishment thinks. 60%. Over half of women. That's not bad news for them or us. I say us, I don't care, but you. The prevalence of obesity among women in their 40s and 50s has risen to 42%. It did that around 2000. That's higher than the 38% the CDC found for middle-aged men. So women are getting fatter than men are. It's always feminists who say, men grow up and be slobs, they don't look after themselves for us. Well, actually, it's the women that are getting fatter, so you can cut that out too. Another feminist myth. Feminists are not helping women by exposing them to a litany of health problems and lies. And for something I want to leave you with, that is why I say in my scurrilous and scandalous manner, feminism is cancer. It is a disease on campus that attaches itself to the host, grows, and eventually suffocates it if it is not cut out. It is time to cut feminism and social justice and all of this nonsense out of the educational establishment. You can start doing that by petitioning your colleges to end safe space and trigger warning culture. You are entitled to alternative points of view without being told that you are a racist or a bigot or a sexist. You are not those things. And by the way, liberals, those marginalized communities you're always banging on about, whether it's blacks or Latinos or whatever, they are hurt more by these lies. They are hurt more by lies on immigration. They are hurt more by lies about feminism and lies about body image. For instance, the black and Latino women have a far worse obesity rate than white women. All of the people that you claim to help the most are hurt the most by your lies. It is time to stop it and return to evidence-based thinking. The left in this country has departed from the realm of reality, now exists in the realm of illusion and fantasy and feelings. It is time to return us to fact, to reason, to logic. That is my entreaty to you. Thank you very much for having me. Such a fag. I couldn't, you'll laugh, but I couldn't get the staple out of my speech earlier. I was struggling with it like a spastic for ages. Eventually my tour manager had to come and say, shall I do that for you? I'm happy to take questions. Do you want to queue up, maybe, to both sides? All right, let's go.
I was going to ask, what was your stance on far-right parties such as Britain First and
Could you say that again?
What is their stance on parties in Europe, the new resurging parties like National Front, like Britain First and stuff like that?
Yeah, so there's a difference between the sort of populist right in America and the populist right in Europe, and it's wrapped up in the differences between the two countries. America is based on principles, on ideals, on the Constitution. Europe is more of a racially aware continent made up more of nation states, national identities, with much longer histories. Some, not all, some of the European right is driven more by racism than ideology. So it's reasonable when you hear people express concern about the rise of the European right, it's reasonable to hear them out, because they're not talking about the kind of populist Trump support that you have in America, which is based on ideas about how the country should operate and what the relationship between you and the government should be, and protecting your civilization and culture, bringing jobs back, immigration, whatever. The European right is a little different. So I see the rise of the right, populist right, generally as a very good thing. But in Europe, we have quite a long and quite a bloody history where nationalism rears its head. Exceptionally bloody, in fact. Spectacularly, impressively bloody. It would be a shame to return to that. So they're not quite the same thing, but in general, populist right, meaning a right that takes into consideration the affairs and concerns of ordinary working people, is of course the best kind of government. Thanks.
Hi, Milo. I'm curious what your favorite alt-right websites are.
I wouldn't say I had a favorite alt-right website. I'm not a member of the alt-right, although I think I'm perhaps the only person to give them a fair hearing in the press. I wouldn't even necessarily say sympathetic hearing. They don't like it when I tease them about Taylor Swift, for instance. Taylor Swift is the marquee pop star for the alt-right, you know? Camille Paglia calls her Nazi Barbie. I read them for work rather than pleasure. I don't think I have a favorite.
Thank you.
Hello, I wanted to ask, who's your most inspiring AIDS victim?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. Aside from me, kidding. Though I hope to be one day. No, I want a tragic young death. Are you kidding? How much good it did for Freddie Mercury? It's probably Freddie Mercury, I think. Yeah. I like the first time I ever went on 4chan. Well, I say the first time I sort of put my picture up and said, "Hi guys, it's me." I got a picture of Freddie Mercury with OP as a faggot, but a cool faggot like Freddie Mercury. So, and it was then I knew they were my people. So yeah, probably Freddie. Excellent question. What's your provocative question?
It's not so provocative, man. But
worse than anything I fucking said. Like they say, I'm so controversial. Where's his security detail?
As a European and as a tech journalist, I'm curious what your opinions are, in particular about companies like Google who censor themselves for the sake of the right to forget or the Great Firewall. Do you think there's a solution to that?
I'm always torn between, as a tech reporter in my former life, I know how bad technology companies are, and it always mystifies me as a European why people trust these private companies more than they trust the government. But of course, coming to America, I start to work out why. You guys do. I personally think the problem is not so much the power that tech companies wield, it's reminding them that they have an obligation to diversity. And I don't mean diversity of skin color or gender, I mean diversity of political opinion. Because the vast majority of employees of all these companies, in particular the social media companies, Facebook and Twitter, you'd be hard-pressed to find a single conservative working there. There's a couple, and they're normally hired for show. The problem exists in the abuse and harassment departments, which ban people for spurious reasons. This whole abuse and harassment thing you've heard about on the internet is basically, it boils down to a gender war. Women can't handle robust debate and nasty jokes. They say they want it and they don't like it when they get it. They mischaracterize it as abuse and harassment. Sad to say, it is a very gendered issue. My solution for this is that women should leave the internet. No. Look, I know I thought about this very carefully. I'm not being flippant. I thought about this very carefully. Look, we've got this problem, right? In the 50s, golden era of the 50s, men had their own clubs, they had golf clubs, they had the pub, they could let off steam, you know? They didn't have to be around their wives all the time. They didn't always have to watch what they were saying, because there was a girl around, you know. Men had their own spaces. Women had their own spaces too. They had the bridge clubs and all the rest of it. And men and women didn't see didn't see each other that often, and that was great. That was good. Anybody who's in a relationship knows the less you see each other, the better the sex is, the better the relationship is. It's awesome. Maybe that's just me. But it's fine if you cheat, I guess. But what happened when women started to enter the workforce and men and women were thrust together is that a lot of the tensions between the two started to come out. And then you introduce the internet into the equation, and men and women are together all the time without a break, and male safe spaces, if you like, male space in the real world are being criticized and eroded. Sort of male-only membership clubs are being called sexist and forced to open their membership up to women. It is healthy and normal and good for women for men to have their own spaces. You have them, why can't we? And so the problem is that now men and women are together all the time, and the thing is, men and women don't get on that well. We don't really like each other that much. And you can see this, the highest and perfect expression of this is gays and lesbians. We fucking hate each other. And we don't have to pretend otherwise because we don't want to have sex with each other. So just look at the way gays and lesbians behave to one another and you see the true essence of the female-male relationship. And it is cold hatred. I'm just kidding. But the point is that men and women now cannot escape one another, and online it's a particular problem because for 30 years feminists have been saying, treat us just like you treat each other, treat us just like men. All right. Well, taunting is how men bond. You really want that? All right, fine. And now we don't like it. And the very feminized, very liberal, very progressive abuse and harassment teams at Facebook and Twitter take joking and criticism and ridicule, which are essential parts of how men talk, how everyone talks, but particularly how men talk, and how we have debate, and it has there is a great history of ridicule and criticism and mockery in literary history. Now that stuff is called abuse and harassment. And this is a political, cultural problem with these technology companies. The privacy stuff is important that you mentioned, but more critical for me is reintroducing political diversity into these companies. And that's not a question for government, it's a question for customers, just to simply remind these companies over and over and over again that not everybody shares your opinions. And if you don't allow free, open, unfettered speech, if you do not allow people to say, be, do, think, and read anything, your platform will fail. That's what history teaches us.
Hello. So just today, the media has just announced that Hillary has clinched the Democratic nomination.
It's sad. I wanted Uncle Bernie.
Yeah, but
didn't you all want Bernie?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been fun to watch him drop dead in the debates?
Yeah. So
he's had a good innings.
Yeah.
Anderson Cooper would say.
So I've never seen a more unlikable candidate than Hillary Clinton. I don't understand the appeal she has. And
she doesn't have any. They just think she can win.
Yeah. But yet all these people are still voting for her. And then you see these rallies she has where there's barely anybody there and they keep trying to make it look as if there's a lot of people and making the camera go.
I get more people at my events than Hillary Clinton.
So again, my question is, can you explain what Hillary, what demographic Hillary, who's even voting for her?
Who does she appeal to?
Yes.
Idiots. Very stupid people, otherwise known in your country as Democrats. People who believe in feelings over facts. People who believe that. People who believe that one sex is better than the other, and that sex is women. People who believe that that there is such a thing as the patriarchy, a mystical system that holds people down. Not doing a very good job. People who believe a variety of conspiracy theories and fantasy stories, who never really grew out of the never-ending story phase of their life and want the world to be. They like to administer the world as though it were how they like rather than how it is. People who believe that the solution to gun crime is not letting anyone have any guns to protect themselves. Gun-free zones. Sounds like a great idea. someone just, because all of the murderers and crazy people are going to like wander into a school and then they'll see the sign and it'll say gun-free zone. They'll be like, oh. So you say, I say idiots on purpose. I think people just like her because they think that she can win. I don't think anyone likes her personally. It's difficult to form a relationship with the machine. And I think Trump will beat her.
Yep. All right, thank you.
Hello.
The YouTube pundit Sargon of Akkad has asked for the suspension of social justice courses. What do you think is the most proactive reform to kind of take back these gender studies courses from what are ultimately victims of indoctrination?
Yes, you see, the people on these gender studies, thanks for the question. The people on these gender studies courses are victims. They're just not the victims of the thing they think. They're not victims of men. They're not victims of the patriarchy. They're victims of social justice warriors. They're victims of the media. They're victims of all sorts of people who have told them lies to make them feel better. They're victims of the people who have said, if there is a problem in your life, or if you're lazy, it's someone else's fault. If you don't have the ambition or drive or discipline to achieve the things that you want in life, that's not your fault. That's somebody else's fault. The patriarchy must be keeping you down. This isn't an appropriate subject for study in a higher learning institution. It is best resigned to the far reaches of the internet. It's the sort of thing that should never have left Tumblr. Now, the best way to deal with it, I think, and other people take different views, so my great friend, Little Ben Shapiro, now that's just rude. What is that, 4'5"? 4'6"? Who even knows? Why would you lie about that? Why would you lie? I mean, if you're 4'7" or 4'6", just say it, you know? Why do you tell people you're 4'9"? Wait, 5'9", sorry. 4'9", actually is like medical midget. Anything under 6 foot, I have no idea. What was the question? Oh, yes. So other people take a different view. He takes the view that you should go in like a railgun and sort of, be angry and fire people up and get them upset. I prefer a lighter touch. I deal in ridicule and satire and mischief. And I think teasing them is the best way to expose them, because the more hysterical and furious they get, the even further removed from reason they become. And so I would encourage you all to continue ridicule and teasing of the worst. What? Go out, chalk, Wear mariachi costumes. Black up. No, don't do that. Don't do that. I can get away with it, maybe. I would encourage you to tease people at every available opportunity. Satirical publications, as I understand this one is. Where is it? What did I do? Oh, what did I do with my koala? I haven't read this, so I've got no idea if it's any good. But I'm happy it exists. Anything that is ridiculing and criticizing the bonkers stuff should continue. And you can always find willing people to help support these publications if the universities won't. Now, I would say the biggest obstacle to that are the sorts of speech codes that are being put in place by the university. But you will discover if you are at a public university, and even really if you're at a private one, they're just not enforceable. FIRE.org, which is a great organization that helps students invite controversial speakers and help students express themselves, wins every case it tries. Universities cannot stop you from saying what you want to say, expressing your opinion, sharing what studies and facts you want to share, and inviting whoever you want to speak on campus. So my advice to you, you've started well, my advice to you is invite as many controversial and obnoxious speakers to your college as you can, whether you agree with them or not. Show the left that you can invite controversial left-wing speakers just as well as controversial right-wing speakers, and show them up for the authoritarian boobies that they are. Show them up for the intolerant, single-issue, closed-minded idiots that we know them to be.
I'd like to start off by saying Happy Ramadan. It's the start today.
Did you? I saw. No. I saw this on a tweet, and it said, "America, make your choice." And Donald Trump's like, "It's D-Day. Thank you so much for our veterans. We love you. Thank you for your service." At Hillary Clinton, at the start of Ramadan, I'd just like to wish everybody, a Ramadan Mubarak. I think the tweeter said it best. America, make your choice.
So my question is, I was reading the newest issue of the Green Arrow, and in it says that his job title, what he prefers to be called, is a social justice warrior. And I was just like, wait, did I actually buy this? What is this? So I was wondering, what's your opinion of kind of this social justice culture kind of oozing into somewhat popular media?
Well, since I started to popularize it, it was always going to go mainstream. But stop it. But I don't have a problem with people calling themselves social justice warriors. For me, it's like branding someone. In the Old Testament, they used to brand people like they were sheep thieves. They brand their forehead. It's sort of a warning sign for employers. You describe yourself as a social justice warrior on the internet, they know not to hire you. I'm very comfortable with people identifying themselves. If I had my way, they'd all be wearing up. No, they wouldn't. No. That was Hitler. That was another social justice warrior. I'm very relaxed about people. If they want to out themselves like that, in my mind, it's like going around and saying, I have an IQ of 80. I'm fine with it.
Right. Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about your love for Camille Paglia? I feel like more people need to know about her.
There is such a thing as a cool feminist. I know this will come as news to some of you, because you've only dealt with the screeching, blue-haired, facially pierced harpies on campus. Or rather, moved 6 rows over when they sit next to you in the cinema or lecture hall. Dodge them in the street like this. There is such a thing as a cool feminist. In fact, most feminists in history have been cool. Feminism has a great, glorious, proud history. Some of you have heard me talk about this before. It's very cool. It's essential, and it's laudable and noble that women have equal access to all the same opportunities, institutions, wages, and education that men do. They've had it for some time, in fact. And we should be proud of that. Not too proud, but we should be proud of it, because most of the world doesn't have that, or at least not all of it. Women are... American women today, the most privileged group in the history of our species. And they should be, they should be a bit more grateful, frankly. Because they don't have those opportunities in the sorts of countries where liberals want to import people from, where there really are patriarchies. What? Someone's coughing Syria, but it's not just Syria. And it's not just women. I could be hanged in 11 countries. Give it 4 months and that becomes 12 countries. Yes, yeah, Deutschland über fuck all. I think it's not just women. These are hugely socially regressive countries with massively backward social views. Why? Because they don't have Western democratic capitalism. The free open exchange of things, people, ideas, goods, services, the open marketplace of stuff and knowledge is the greatest engine of equality yet devised by man. The market is the best way of keeping everybody equal, because the market understands that men and women have value, and that the best way to unlock that value is to give everybody equal opportunities to do what they want. Now, women aren't always going to choose to do what feminists want them to do. Many of them want to stay home and have children, and that's wonderful. That's them performing an economic function. I've lost the question.
Camille Paglia.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So there are some good feminists in history, and feminists in history who are cool, which is most of them, are feminists who acknowledge that there are differences between the sexes, something denied by modern third-wave feminism. The women who understand the feminists who understand that women sometimes make different life choices from men. Well, of course they fucking do. We are biologically different. We have different minds. We have different everything. So Camille Paglia was great and sort of ahead of her time in many ways, because we need her now more than ever. She spoke very powerfully. I'll give you just one example. She said that coddling female students, she was writing in the 90s, you should read everything first, coddling female students puts them at risk when you tell women things are sexual assault that aren't really sexual assault, when you encourage women to believe they have been violated, when all that's really happened is that men and women have been exploring their sexuality together and there's been a bit of clumsy misunderstanding and so fucking what. When you do that, you endanger them because they get out into the real world and they're not equipped to deal with really bad stuff that happens, not some sort of fumbling English major who just read a cue wrong and had a couple of drinks. They're going to go out, and feminists have told them, you can wear what you want, honey. They don't know what you wear is not determined by a man's value for you, and you can go out at 3 a.m. and nobody dares to touch you. Well, I don't know any rapists you know, but I'm willing to bet that, I don't know any rapists, by the way, but I'm willing to bet that if you were to ask them, they wouldn't wander into a back alley at 3 a.m. after the clubs are chucking out and not rape a woman based on what she was wearing. I don't think that consent classes have ever stopped any rape, ever. I don't think that sending these absurd messages to women that they're in danger when they're not is helpful to women. And I think Palia did a great service to us having a female voice saying this as long ago as the 90s. If you tell women that they are in danger when they're not in danger, you are robbing them of the opportunity to protect themselves from real danger. And that is among the many brilliant insights that people like Christina Hoff Sommers and I are merely echoing the great Camille 20 years later.
Hold on for a second.
Hi.
There are a lot of people, and I don't think we will get through all these questions unless we move a little faster. So,
I'll try to be more concise.
Hello, Milo. Just kind of following up on what you were just talking about, maybe you could elaborate more on how feminism, at least of the modern sort, actually hurts women.
Yeah, almost everything that feminism does hurts women. Feminism effectively sends the message that men are wrong and evil and bad and potential rapists, and there is a conspiracy designed by men to keep women down. None of these things are true. They're all lies, and they all hurt women as much as they hurt men. How? Because they're destroying the relationship between the sexes. The whole purpose of progressive feminism was a stated purpose. They didn't make it a secret. They've told us about it. It was to break up the nuclear family because they believe it's an agent of patriarchal oppression. Well, there's another view of that, which is that there's nothing wrong with men being the providers for women, with caretakers for women in those situations where women want it. Breaking up the nuclear family and demonizing men, the war on men that has been happening for 30 years, is the end product of feminism. And the problem for ordinary women with modern feminism, which wields a vastly outsized influence compared to its grasp on the facts and even the numbers of them, is that it hurts women the most. Men who don't get into relationships in their 30s generally are okay. They works out fine. They retreat into porn or video games. They're not happy, but they're not abjectly miserable. Women, on the other hand, are. Have you know any single women in their 30s? I'm just saying. They report, and it's not. This is statistical. Women have been getting unhappier since the Second World War. Every decade, women report themselves more and more and more miserable. Women are more likely now than ever to consider suicide, more likely to report themselves depressed, more likely to report themselves as thinking about killing themselves. All of these things are getting worse every decade. That cannot be unconnected to the changing role of women in society. It cannot be unconnected to the fact that women now expect to have babies and jobs and are now living in their 30s single because they didn't spend time getting a boyfriend, they didn't spend the time getting married, they're living in an apartment they hate with a cat, a job they hate, friends they hate, and a life they loathe. Why? Because feminism has told them that's the thing to do, and that if they're a mother, that's not good enough. Now, these are some of the ways that feminism hurts women. There are many others, but I've been asked to keep it concise.
Thank you.
Hey Milo, so you talk a lot about Black Lives Matter and what in its detriment to the actual black community, and I would say pretty much everyone in this room would agree with you on that. But you commonly talk about the trouble that you do believe that blacks are still owed something in this country. What are some of the maybe government programs or just some of the things that you would do, let's say if you're president, that you would do to to help the black community like you say you do?
I don't think there's a role for the government at all. I don't think there's a role for the government in very much. See, even you, as sound and as brilliant as you clearly are from your outfit, still, look, wonderful, and I don't mean to pick on you, but your first thing is, what government programs? No! Government's the problem. it's government, it's Democrat politicians, in fact, who have made the black community such a mess. They keep voting in Democrat mayors, and their cities keep getting worse. Why? Because of the government. No, what needs to happen needs to come from within, a rediscovery of the American dream, of purpose, of determination, the restoration of the black family, which has been ripped apart by Planned Parenthood in part. Planned Parenthood, of course, founded by Margaret Sanger, the eugenicist, whose stated purpose was to control the black population. Planned Parenthood is now a black baby killing machine. And I take no pleasure in that, because in 16 years I'll probably want to have sex with them all. It's not a question of what the government can do for the black community. It's a question of what the black community can raise itself up and accomplish, free from the chains placed on it by the government, by the victimhood and grievance culture that is propagated by Democrat politicians and left-wing thinkers and the media, encouraging black people, like women are encouraged. This all comes from the same political trend. Women are encouraged to think of themselves as victims, to imagine that there is an oppressor that is responsible for all of their problems, that they are, that they're an oppressed victimhood group. Well, you know what? Maybe once you were, but you're not now. And if you continue to believe that all of your problems are somebody else's fault and that other person has to fix them, you're never going to improve your station in life. You can win an argument if you want with somebody about white supremacy. It doesn't really exist in America anymore. About male oppression, about whatever else. But at the end of the day, you're still living in the shit. The best way to improve your circumstances and your family's circumstances is to put grievance and victimhood aside and focus on making something with your life. Women cannot do that. Blacks cannot do that. No minority can do that so long as the government is promising solutions.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Milo. In my time in student government, I've been often criticized for clinging to core values of American culture and the First Amendment.
Very unfashionable.
Yeah, the Second Amendment, the 10th Amendment particularly. Why are these values, even though they're old and rooted in your culture, in the 1400s, why are these old values something that we should...
I love that you think the Constitution's old.
No, people. I hear the argument that it's so old it needs to be replaced with new ideas, and these new
My
ideas
college
are so
was
great.
built in 1412. Nothing you have is old. I'm teasing. Carry on.
Anyway, how are these old documents? Why should they be protected so carefully, and why should we cling to these values that? What is your thought on that? Thank you.
As with democratic capitalism, freedom of speech, property rights, freedom of movement, the Constitution has proven itself to be worth protecting. It has proven itself because it has created the best country in the world. It has created... It founded the greatest country in the world, and protection of the Constitution and the people who cleave to it, like the late Justice Scalia, have proven that document is capable of inspiring us to run society as society ought to be organized. The Constitution and the free, democratic, free market capitalism, freedom of speech and freedom of thought and movement, all the rest of it that go along with the Constitution, have demonstrated themselves to be the best way to organize a society. And the more you try to clamp down on speech and take away people's guns, the further you move from excellence.
Hi, Milo. So really quickly, thank you for helping us fight the progressive cancer that is taking over American politics today. We appreciate that.
I almost want you to end it there.
But I'd really like to know a little bit more about how you feel about the Brexit movement and the epic uselessness of the EU as a whole.
You've sort of answered the question for me, haven't you, Pumpkin? Europe is a continent in decline, partly because it has lost sight of those principles in the Constitution and the principles that make America so great. As a result, among many other things, it is now in decline. I think the UK doesn't necessarily have a future tied to Europe. It doesn't need to decline. It doesn't need to be in sort of managed decline like the rest of Europe. It could be great again. Make Britain great again. Make Britain great again would have been a much better slogan, wouldn't it? That makes way more sense. I think you'd never get away with that in England. People would go scream blue murder. How dare you, how dare you. I think that if Britain has any sense, and I'm not saying it does, there's a reason I'm here, they should run screaming in the other direction. I don't talk about European politics very much because, frankly, it's boring and they're all destined to die. And even if Britain does leave Europe, it's still going to. I mean, it's still going to be a majority Muslim country by 2040. There's no political will to fix that. To do. I mean, it sounds ridiculous. Like, what is it? A generation or two? Not even that. It's astonishing, but it's what's happening. That is the trajectory of Europe. I don't choose to be a part of that. And I don't find endlessly eulogizing about a previously fantastic continent to be hugely exciting. I prefer to try and preserve the one shining beacon of truth, democracy, and freedom in the world, if I at all can. I hope that Britain votes to leave very much. I don't have entire confidence that it will. Either way, I think the country's fucked anyway.
All right, so Clinton or Sanders, who's worse and why?
Ooh. It's like an ultimate rock and hard place question, isn't it? So I think you're going to hate me for this, but I think Hillary's less of a problem than Bernie. I like Bernie. I like many Bernie supporters, and many people support Bernie for the same reasons that people support Trump. And I think that at least 30% of his support is going to come over. I think that no, I do. I think the polls vastly underestimate the political promiscuity of the anti-establishment vote, and I think probably 1 in 5 people at least who just want to see Hillary and co burn will come over to Trump. I think they will. The problem is that although more of Hillary would be bad, more of Obama, Hillary presidency would be bad, Sanders brings with him the social justice warriors. Sanders brings with him feminism and Black Lives Matter. And those things, aside, little changes in public policy and whatever aren't ultimately earth-shattering. But when you put into the presidency somebody who believes things that simply depart from the realm of reality, you are risking the future of this country very seriously indeed. When you tell lies about and to half the population, men, and you systematically disadvantage those people when all the evidence says that women have in fact overtaken them everywhere women have gone. I think you're setting up the country for horrible failure. And I also think there would be a race war if Sanders was president. This is the thing about liberals. They constantly provoke minorities into wars those minorities are going to lose. Men versus women hasn't been fought before because it's never been a level playing field, But if men really decide, you know what, enough of this shit, enough of this feminism nonsense, it will last 2 minutes, it'll be over. Likewise, and less humorously, progressives and old rich white liberals like George Soros, funding and provoking black people into igniting a race war between whites and blacks aren't going to win. They're not going to win that war. And it's cruel and sociopathic and evil. And that's what Sanders would bring into the presidency with him. So although I would love the spectacle of a Sanders-Trump race, I think I'm happy that he's out.
Thank you.
So Bernie's dead, huh? Rest in piss.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
So a lot of Bernie shills are going to be mad, man. What's going to happen to the Democratic Party?
Well, my hope for both parties is that they get ripped apart because neither of them is fit for purpose. I want them both destroyed. I think Trump is the fastest route to destroying the Republican Party, which needs to happen because it has systematically ignored and then ridiculed, criticized, and ostracized its own base. The Republican Party has no idea who votes for it under 50. They just don't know anyone. They've no idea. They've never met any of you. They have no idea what you're like. They don't know what you watch. They don't know what you care about. They deserve to die. I think Daddy's the fastest way to that. The Democrat Party similarly deserves to die just for everything. I think Sanders is the best route to that. So I don't much care for either of the main political parties here. I would like to see a political realignment along libertarian authoritarian lines. I think. What I want to do is put all of the people who think they know better than me how to live All the people who want to tell me how to speak, what to read, who I can be friends with, what I can wear, all that stuff. I want to put all those people in one party, and the rest of us just get on with our lives. But I think that may be some way off. Very good.
What's your opinion on the ability to provide consent under the influence of alcohol?
It is obscene. No, hold up, I haven't finished. It is obscene to write into sexual conduct codes, as some universities have, that if effectively, and this is the case at least one American university now, if a man is drunk and unconscious and a woman performs a sex act on him, that she is the one who has been raped. It is insane. Completely insane. And these conduct courses go hand in hand with kangaroo courts, where the burden of proof is preponderance of the evidence rather than reasonable doubt. It's such a serious crime, there is only one answer: call the police. Universities have no place getting involved in sexual disputes, no place whatsoever determining who is right or who is wrong in interpersonal relationships. If a crime has been committed, the woman should call the police. That is the beginning and the end of it. Universities shouldn't get involved. Sorry, I have a horrible cold.
Hi, Milo.
Yeah, hi.
Like you, I consider myself a dangerous faggot. And
welcome.
Thank you. So you spoke at another event about the domestication of gay culture in America, and I'd like to know that because my grandpa was gay, and he grew up in the '80s in a time with like a lot of drugs and AIDS. And not saying that you're wrong. Not saying that you're wrong, but how was that better? Because honestly, it might be better than all of this like couples looking exactly the same, having the same kind of dog, driving their little cars.
You don't want to be that
boring
kind of gay, do you? You don't want to be that kind of gay. No, you don't, see?
Oh, second question, top or bottom?
Come see me afterwards. On your first question, I think what I was expressing is nostalgia and regret for a gay culture which is now dead. It's gone. RuPaul's Drag Race is not gay culture. I mean, I love it. It's great, but it's not. It's not gay culture. I think of the dissident queer thinkers like William S. Burroughs, Quentin Crisp, Oscar Wilde when I think of what the gay culture at its best, what it can be, the way that it thumbs its nose at the establishment, the way that it is subversive and dangerous, the way that it toys with taboos. It goes right up to the line of what can be thought and said. And it still exists in drag culture, which is why I mentioned RuPaul, which is about the best that gay culture has to offer, as vacuous as it remains. What I think is a pity is the way the left has domesticated homosexuals. The left has sort of made us all look the same, sign up to your institutions like marriage, you know. No one is clamoring for gay marriage. The gay lobby didn't even want it. They said, like, you know, the civil partnership in the UK was perfect with this nice little dodge. You know, not many people actually wanted it. All they want is some kind of acknowledgement that there's a relationship there and the rights and responsibilities that go with it, so you can visit sick relatives and you can inherit. Nobody was asking for this war between the religious and gays. It was, again, product of social justice warriors. I think it's a shame that gays have become so domesticated by the left, which just wants them to live in ghettos now, you know. And I was expressing, I suppose, remorse and nostalgia for that because gays at their most dissident and mischievous and naughty and taboo-breaking drive society forward. You know, we may not have a reproductive function in society, but we sure as hell have a cultural function. And we're way overrepresented in the best artists, explorers, inventors, politicians, partly because we have, on average, higher IQ than you. Sorry about it. Because we're richer and better looking and smarter. I don't know. We're way overrepresented in the people who make huge changes to society and culture. That, I think, is at risk of being lost because the conditions to create those sorts of great leaps are being eradicated. You know, gay clubs are closing down because people don't need them anymore, because people don't go. You know, if you look at the kind of entertainment that gays go to now versus the golden era you mentioned, it's
so cringeworthy and appalling. The state, the quality of gay drama, gay literature. It's unreadable and unwatchable. Terrible, awful bilge designed to pander to left-wing sensibilities and remind gays what wonderful people they are. Oh, you're so fabulous and you're so brave, honey. Nobody growing up in the last 30 years is particularly brave to be gay, particularly not in the last 20 years. And you've got these little lispy little 20-year-old queens in the front row going, yes, we're really brave, we're so brave, we're gay. The best thing about being gay was putting yourself in danger so you could get out of it and do great things. So I think it's a shame what the left has done to homosexuals. I'm trying to pull some of it back.
Thank you.
Go and have random sex and take drugs.
Fairly recently, the Donald has become cucked, and I was just wondering, and I know you were made a moderator recently.
Explain.
Well, with the mods.
What?
With the mods on the Donald, they've become
Oh,
cucked.
the Donald.
Yes.
r/the
Now,
Donald.
For all my friends on Mr. Trump, would you be willing to own that sub as lead moderator? Of Mr. Trump instead of the cucked Donald.
On Mr. Trump.
On Mr. Trump.
Have I been invited?
You are formally invited.
If that's the new place people want to go, and my presence there will be a stabilizing influence, I will have nothing to do with it. I'm happy to talk about it.
Thank you.
I will discuss it with you.
Hi, Milo.
Hi.
I'd like to see, could you elaborate a little bit on the German migrant situation and specifically the mass sexual assaults that have been happening over the last couple months?
Sure. Basically, the situation in Germany is that Angela Merkel, who had a great legacy as German Chancellor, she sort of really brought Germany together in many ways, despite being fairly anodyne and uninteresting, and looking like a... I liked her, she's got that diamond of power. She always stands like this. She wants to be a man that badly. Germany was doing okay, and Angela Merkel was set to have a really great political legacy. She fucked it by telling the Syrian immigrants that Germany's borders were open. So, of course, what happened? 1.4 million Syrians came to Germany. So, mass rapes at night in the park. Hospitals where screeching illegal immigrants and migrants and God knows who else that Germany has let in are refusing to see female doctors. They won't take treatment from women. All these sorts of regressive attitudes the left claims it hates so much. All these sorts of attitudes that would be unacceptable if it were a straight white man doing it. Perfectly fine from somebody with brown skin. Who knows why? Left is a mystery to all of us. But Germany is now essentially in crisis and in chaos because 1.4 million is just the ones the government knows about. So it's probably more like 2 million, and Germany is not that big a country. Sweden, which has done a similar thing with immigration, is effectively going to be bankrupt in 10 years. Economists have done projections about this, how much they're spending on welfare and how much they're getting in tax receipts, and there's only a certain amount that the actually productive people can be squeezed, for tax revenue. Germany now has gone from probably the most desirable place to live in Europe to the least desirable place to live in Europe, thanks to open-door mental immigration policy. Completely insane. The best thing to do with the Syrian crisis was to help them where they live, help to rebuild Syria and to fund refugee camps, make sure everybody was fed, watered, and safe. What Germany instead did was the liberal bleeding heart thing of course, come here, we'll take care of you. Not good for the Syrians, not good for Germans, and a total disaster. It has accelerated the collapse of Europe by probably 2 decades.
Thank you.
So the Libertarian Party candidate for president, Gary Johnson, says your
Who
daddy's
cares?
a pussy.
Who cares? Sorry, I'm chasing. Sorry, it says what?
He says your daddy's a pussy. What do you think of him?
I don't even know who he is. I thought it was John McAfee. Isn't he the candidate? Libertarian Party? I don't even know. No, I'm just teasing. I like some of my best friends are libertarians.
Hi, Milo.
Hi.
I just have a quick question regarding a lot of conservative news outlets have recently
I think, started to sound a lot like MSNBC as far as their rhetoric towards Trump, and it's kind of turned me off to a lot of people that I used to listen to before.
Yes.
And what do you think?
Anybody in particular? Anyone short in particular?
I played the fifth on that one. Yeah. So, but yeah, do you think, where is that coming from necessarily? And do you think, is it going to have a chance of really screwing things up for Trump in the long run?
No, it doesn't matter, because the press has entirely lost their power to influence elections, and that's great. The press is part of the problem in this country, and it's important for democracy to have a healthy, strong fourth estate. We don't have that here. You need to fix it. Not you personally, but the country needs to fix it. And I think the right-wing press getting a battering is a good way of is a good first step to that. The conservative press only ever really spoke to a tiny proportion of the country, and only ever to old people. The average age of a Fox News viewer keeps going up as they get older. It's literally going up a year every year. Their audience will soon be dead. Like 4 years ago, the average age of Fox was 67. It's now 71. It's literally just going up a year. And soon there won't be an average age, because there won't be any of them left. Or there'll be an average age, it'll be 92, but there's literally only 2 of them. This stuff, the audience for this conservative media is dying out. Same with National Review, same with. They didn't even really know what conservative voters were out there and what those conservatives looked like. Conservatives in this country have lost every major battle, bar perhaps one, for the last 30 years. And people are tired of losers. They are tired of being told they're racist, sexist, bigots, and the conservatives not sticking up for them strongly enough and not winning the fights. The problem with conservatives in this country is they seem to think that writing an essay on the subject is the same as doing something about it. And it isn't. And one of the ways that you can help to change people's minds is doing a college tour, for instance. But why is it that no conservative has done a successful tour like this in 30 years? I have no clue. Well, I think I do know some. It's because they're lazy, entitled losers. And voters are rightly quite sick of that. So I think it's a good baptism of fire for the conservative press, for them to realize they don't know who their own readers are, and their tiny influence is now evaporated. If they want to rebuild it, it's going to take a decade, and it's going to require trust, building of trust, going to require them not to call their own readers names like liberals have done for decades, and it's going to require them to have a reassessment of what it means to be conservative and the concerns that young people, what young people actually give a shit about, which at the moment the conservative press simply doesn't know.
Thank you.
Hi.
What's the biggest advice you have for a conservative student going to a really liberal college?
Keep your head
will you
down.
sign my T-shirt?
Yes, of course I will afterwards. Keep your head down. Sad but true. I think you can indulge, as I said earlier, in some light ridicule, in some poking fun. Chalk where it is not already banned. Dress in what you want, say what you want, but don't do anything that's going to get you in trouble. There's nothing. I say this at most of my talks, but it's worth repeating. Don't do anything that gives them license to expel or ban or suspend you. What they want, what all these liberal strategies are designed to do, is marginalize and exclude. They want to take the speaker, brand them a bigot or a hateful person as a way of ruining their life and as a way of not having to listen to any of their arguments. If you do something that gets you suspended or expelled, or you do something that negatively affects your education, they have won. The best revenge is to live well, to graduate with high grades in a real subject, get a hot wife and nice kids and a nice house and a nice car, and turn around and think, my God, do you remember that crap we had to endure at university? That's the best thing. The best revenge, the best thing for you to do in life is to live well.
Two more questions from each side.
Oh, okay. All right.
Thank you for smiling.
Well, I'm gonna wait and say hi to everybody afterwards. So these guys should come and say hi.
Cool. Thank you for coming. With regards to the left or the regressive left, they'll tend to spout statistics like the wage gap myth or campus rape statistics. But yet with issues like, let's say, climate change, where they'll cite empirical, factual, or scientific data, what do you feel, or what do you think influences their decision to back certain issues versus others?
Well, conservatives have been losing for so long that they've allowed some industries to be almost completely taken over. I mean, the climate science is politics first and science second. You can make these numbers say whatever you want. I used to work for a climate organization before I saw the light, and I saw every day how these numbers are manipulated and changed to fit a political agenda. I saw authors of IPCC reports demand to have their names taken off those reports because faceless bureaucrats at the UN had decided to ramp up the language, make it sound more extreme, make it sound more apocalyptic. The stuff that you hear and the studies that you cite sound very impressive, but they are the product of a climate industry which depends for its success on alarmism, depends for its success on hysteria. I used to be part of the problem. So, somebody get me a tissue, sorry. I used to be part of the problem. What I think you should do in the case of climate change is just it's very difficult to go up against the massed ranks of progressive scientific consensus. But it's worth asking them some awkward questions now and again, just to remind them that we are listening. The hockey stick, for instance. Anything liberals really celebrate and put on magazine covers is guaranteed to be a lie. So no, really. So whether it's Caitlyn Jenner is a woman, the campus, the mattress girl, UVA, Columbia, or the hockey stick. Anything that progressives put on magazine covers is guaranteed to be a lie.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I guess you sort of answered like a question I was going to ask, is what you think about the left trying to force people to think that gender fluid and genderqueer and transgender is like normal, even though science says otherwise. And how do you feel about the LGBT label, like lumping gays like you in the same category as them?
LGBT is an anachronism. It doesn't need to exist anymore. There was a time when gays were discriminated against, when the only institutions that would protect gay men were, for instance, the Catholic Church. When governments were chemically castrating gay men. Thank you so sorry. I've woken up with a cold today. I've been sniffing. It's disgusting. I'm sorry. LGBT, there's no reason for it to exist anymore. When people were being discriminated against, men were being chemically castrated by governments. Governments were putting gay men in prison. The Catholic Church was allowing them a peaceful life in the priesthood. Which is another reason that when people ask me, oh, how can you be gay and Catholic? It's just fucking stupid. The transgender thing is a confidence trick. I'll explain what I mean. It's a sort of show of strength by the left. I like to imagine them getting into a room together and saying, guys, what's the most fucked up thing that we can make people say they believe? And if they don't, we can get them fired. What should we do? Like, guys, what should we do? Got it. How about we say, like, put a man in like a bad dress and a wig and say, if you don't say that is now a woman, you're a bigot, you'll lose your newspaper column, or you'll lose your job, and you'll get... This is like a movement gone crazy. I mean, look, this is the thing about the transgender thing. Like, everyone's got sympathy for somebody with this awful condition, right? But nobody believes that Caitlyn Jenner is a woman. Nobody believes that. No one in this room, no one out in the world. The journalists writing it don't believe it. Nobody believes it.
She still has balls.
Nobody believes it. Well, I mean, even the other one. Who's the hotter one? Laverne Cox. No, I mean, I would, but that's because she's a black man. Nobody believes it, but we are required by the left to take a political position on a medical issue. Why? Because they are power-hungry authoritarians who have run out of things to complain about, run out of injustices on women, run out of injustices on blacks, run out of injustices on women, so they invent this fucking crap. Make the rest of us toe the party line or we're bigots. No. A man in a dress is not a woman and shouldn't be in a bathroom where there are little girls present either. Right.
All right. My question is, what will be the sign if the regressive left were to lose? What will be the signs that they actually lost? And number two, how do you trust Donald Trump to be presidential?
I would prefer that he's not. I think people acting presidential hasn't got us very far. It's been part of the problem. The Westminster political elites, career politicians, the people who act presidential, the people whose behavior is always on point and reasonable, they're the problem. Donald Trump running off at the mouth is the most refreshing thing to happen to American politics since there have been American politics. It is precisely what people like about him, his unpredictability, his genuineness. I wouldn't want him to act presidential. I want him, 2 years into his term, to still be retweeting pictures of Democrat wives versus Melania and be like... The last thing I want from Donald is to be presidential. I don't know why anybody thinks it's a good idea. It turns people into cunts. And it's also wrapped up in political correctness and dishonesty. It's a sort of, it's like too much etiquette, too much political correctness. It's a sort of organized lying, Politicians who always toe the party line, always presidential, who never really seem to say anything. Hillary Clinton, The more you want Donald to be presidential, you're basically saying, why can't you be more like Hillary? No thanks. What was your other question?
My other question was, if the regressive left were to lose, how do you know?
How would we know?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I'd make it to 40 without being assassinated. I think when you can, I'll give you the answer. When you can go on national television and discuss facts without risking your career, because you can't, as a man, go on television and talk about the wage gap and what nonsense it is. You can't, as a man, go on television and talk about the campus rape culture and what nonsense it is. You can't, as a white person, say certain things about race. You can't, as a man, say certain things about, whatever. And it's not just, a straight white male thing. Everybody has this problem. There's something that depending on what group you're in, because of the left's identity politics, identitarianism, if you're a member of a particular group, there's like a bunch of things you can say and a bunch of things you can't say. That's horse shit. I want a free, open marketplace of ideas where anyone can say and think anything, and we argue on the basis of evidence, not hurt feelings and identity. When men no longer, when nobody feels unable to express their opinion in public, then we will know the censors have lost. The good news is, if they lose now, and I think they will lose now, social justice warriors will be losing at the height of their powers. They will be losing when they have the combined weight of academia, the media, the entertainment industry, all behind them. If they lose now, they lose in their strongest form, and they will never, ever come back, which is why it's so important. Thanks. Thank you.
Hi, Milo. Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
I was going to ask if you thought Donald Trump would win the election, but you've already answered that.
Yeah, no, I do. I think it'll either, one of two things is going to happen. Either Hillary will win by a landslide or Trump will win by a little bit. I think Trump will win by a little bit.
So my other question was, how do you think Donald Trump will support our rights to free speech and to the Second Amendment and our other rights that are currently under attack by the very far left?
I think his support for the Second Amendment is fairly unambiguous and fairly clear, which is good, because it's the Second Amendment underpins the First and guarantees the First. So that's important, that's good. As for the first one, people sometimes ask me, because Trump says that about the press, we should make it harder for them to lie about people. It sounds a little bit like an assault on the First Amendment. It sounds a little bit like an attack on journalists. Yeah, well, it is, and he's right. Now, nobody relies on free speech more than me. Nobody, it's my whole career. Nobody, uses it every day to the offensive extent that I do. But it is precisely offensive free speech that the free speech is important to protect. Now, what Trump is saying is not that we should clamp down on a range of opinions. He's saying that we should make it more difficult for professional journalists to deliberately lie about people. I don't have a problem with that. And I think if the press in this country were a little warier of lying so gratuitously, particularly about conservatives, that wouldn't be an entirely bad thing. Libel laws in Europe are too strong, sure, but we're not talking about clamping down on journalists for reporting the wrong thing or having the wrong opinion. He's specifically talking about mendacious libel, knowingly telling falsehoods about people. I don't see a problem with punishing people for that, and it doesn't infringe on their First Amendment rights.
Thank you.
I'm happy to carry on.
I was wondering if you could elaborate more on your experience as being a gay conservative.
Yes.
Personally, I've had experience where I'm kind of ostracized and not even able to have access to even the resources in the LGBT center because I don't subscribe to every lunacy identity.
It was worse coming out as a conservative than coming out as gay, wasn't it? Yeah, it was for me. Yeah, I mean, I told my mom I was gay. She was like, So I told her I was voting Tory, and she's like, come on. No, not really. My mother's very politically sound. But I know a lot of people who have had that experience. And certainly, if I've ever experienced homophobia in my life, it was from other gays after I told them I was a conservative. Yeah, I mean, it's much worse now being a Republican than a gay, for sure. Way worse. Because on the one hand, you are endlessly mollycoddled and celebrated by society, told you're so brave, told you're the best thing in the world, that everything is wonderful, see yourself constantly overrepresented on television, pandered to in the way that the entertainment business likes to do. The other one is like advertising that you're a mean, cruel, vicious, selfish bastard and you don't care about anybody else. At least that's what popular culture tells us, and popular culture is what shapes all of our opinions. I would be much warier telling somebody, just think about it, if you're at a dinner party, right? Just random selection of people in a room. Would you be more comfortable telling them that you're gay or telling them that you vote Republican? I know what the answer would be for me. Thank you.
Hi, we're out of time for the questions, but we'll have the meet and greet in the lobby.
Okay.
Reporting for Breitbart News. Make America great again. Make America great.